speak to the innermost part of each person here today. And Lord, the anointing of your Holy Spirit, Father God, on the message. Father God, that those today that had a situation in their lives, Lord, are a bit troubled, Father God. But have not asked for prayer, Lord, I pray for these right now. Lord, and I pray, Lord, that you bring peace and take that burden away from them, and that they would just feel the comfort of your love. Amen. Well, we're going to get back on track with Jericho, where the Israelites are going to they're going to be walking around the city of Jericho 6 days, and then on the 7th day, the 7 priests with the trumpets will blast. All the people will shout, and these walls that are 20 to 30 feet high and 20 foot thick will all implode, and the army of the Lord will come in and utterly destroy all of Jericho. But a couple of things. One is God puts a stipulation on this city. It is the very first battle that they're going to have in the land of Canaan. And this first battle and all that is in it belongs to God. And it's going to be, God says, the things are going to be under a ban. And I want to explain what that means. 2 things come under a ban as far as God is. One is things that are detestable. Things like, false prophets, witchcraft, those things are detestable to the Lord, and they would be under a ban. They're to be destroyed. Other things that are under a ban are things that belong to God. It's not wicked or evil, it's just God claims them as His. They don't belong to us. Our tithes, for example, do not belong to us. That belongs to the Lord, all right? Jericho is going to belong to the Lord. And so it becomes like a tithe. They have nothing to do with the... No, normally what would take place at a battle... Remember, soldiers don't get paid. It's not like our army today where, where they get a paycheck. They didn't get paid. If you won the battle, you got to take whatever you could find. The plunder, gold, silver, slaves were yours to bring back home, sell, trade, whatever you wanted to do. That was your wages, okay? Jericho does not belong to them. It belongs to God. So that's something to remember. In Deuteronomy, Moses talks about plunder, and when you go up against an enemy, when he says that the women, the children, and the livestock, and whatever else is in the city, all of its spoil, you may take as plunder, and you shall use the spoil of your enemies that the Lord your God gives you. So the Lord expects you to take the spoil from the land. That's His gift to Israel, right? When you go to battle. However, they're under a ban, and as a matter of fact, they are warned, if they take anything under this ban, that they will be accursed people. And so it becomes a trial, really, a test. The interesting thing is they're walking around this city, right? And the first awesome thing that takes place is the walls just implode in front of them, come crashing down, and they run in there and they have a complete victory, right? God gives them the victory. So His word is true. And we like to think His word and His blessings are true, which they are. But also He's got some things that you don't cross. This covenant relationship means obedient to His word. If He says, thou shalt not, then you better not. It's not a suggestion. So, things that take place in our lives. It's easy to see, like, would you ever do what Achan did? Do you think, would you ever take something under the ban? Would you ever do something you knew that you should not ever do? I want to read you a story. It's in this magazine. We get this magazine quarterly called Unchained. It says, I've been in the ministry for 5 years, the fateful day that I took my first step into hell. This is a youth pastor who I would guess, if he went to Bible college, graduated, be 21, 22 years old. 5 years in the ministry, he's about 27 years old. It had been some time since I first noticed a strip club near our church. Occasionally, the thought would enter my mind to visit it, but I would quickly dismiss it. The fact that I was a happily married youth pastor didn't seem to diminish my curiosity about what was within the battered walls of that dilapidated building. I often toyed with the thought of visiting the place, and over time my resolve to resist the temptation waned. One day I impulsively, but very purposefully, pushed my nagging fears aside. With a pounding heart and shortness of breath, I made the quick jaunt to the club. It was almost as if I was watching someone else go through the motions in my body. I could hardly believe I was actually handing my cash to the man at the front door. The next few moments seemed to be a blur of overwhelming excitement and fear. The two passions working together to accelerate the exhilaration I was experiencing. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I took trembling steps toward a seat near the stage. I was stunned by what I saw that day. No, I was hooked. An hour or so later, I darted out of the hellish den where lust-filled men and hollowed women partnered together down the long, miserable descent. I had joined their club. The truly amazing thing is that for the next 18 years, I was able to juggle my secret life of prostitutes, massage parlors, doesn't bother me one bit, and strip clubs with an increasingly successful ministry. There'll be an altar call at the end. Eventually, I began stealing money from my church to cover the cost of my addiction. No one, including my wife, had a clue as to who I really was. I was a classic Pharisee. I looked so good on the outside, but inside I was full of dead man's bones. Had I been left to myself, I would still be living in that hell. But God, who is rich in mercy, intervened in my life and exposed my sins. It happened when my wife discovered a secret bank account I had opened. Within a week, I was forced to fully confess my secret life to my church board. I resigned my position as pastor, something in my delusion I had never thought would really happen. By chance, it was just then that I received a brochure in the mail describing Pure Life Ministries. I learned that the man who started, Steve Gallagher, had lived a life similar to mine. My wife began divorce proceedings. There was also talk at the church about prosecuting me for embezzling funds. At that point, it seemed certain that I was not only headed for divorce court, but criminal court as well. I realized that I could very well end up in prison. Nevertheless, now my main concern was getting the help I needed. I entered the Pure Life Ministries residential program. It has been 14 years since I graduated from Pure Life Live-In program. Today I can honestly say that I am living free of the bondage of sin and lust. After 2 years of separation, my wife agreed to return to me. My church graciously agreed to allow me to pay back the money that I had stolen over the years. I deserved divorce, I deserved prison, I deserved eternal death for the things that I've done. It is not possible for me to fully explain the wonderful difference that Jesus Christ has made in my life. I owe him everything. He has done the impossible. He has set me free, changed my heart, and restored my life. All the honor and praise and glory goes for him. Amen. Credible testimony, okay? Who would have thought, right? He was a youth pastor. He knew the Lord. He knew salvation. He knew all those things, and yet sin has a way of enticing us, does it not? I think about this story we're going to read in Joshua chapter 7. I think about Achan. I keep thinking, how can he do such a thing? And like Tim mentioned in our Sunday school class this morning, you know, we see people doing wrong things in the Bible, and we think, how can they do that? But we know the beginning and the middle and the end of those stories. We know how God does things and the consequence of those actions. Achan knows the consequence of his actions. God says you'll be accursed, but what does that mean, accursed by God? Joshua chapter 7, verse 1. Now remember, they just had the victory. They just destroyed the very first enemy, Jericho. After Jericho was a small, almost insignificant community called Ai. And once they get through Ai, now they have split the land of Canaan in half. And they'll go to the north and be able to defeat all those, and then go towards the Mediterranean Sea to the west and follow that course down to the south, where they'll have the whole of the land of Canaan will be theirs. It's no longer the land of Canaan, but the nation of Israel will be theirs. So, the sons of Israel acted unfaithfully in regard to the things under the ban. Achan, from the tribe of Judah, took some of the things under the ban. Therefore the anger of the Lord burned against the sons of Israel. It is not just Achan who's going to feel the penalty of his sin. It is going to be the whole nation of Israel. It was not just this youth pastor that felt the crime and the punishment of his sin. Was it not his wife, his children? How's it could be in that church? Can you imagine? You know, when you're in a church and somebody from your church, especially a man of leadership, and that takes place, how does that look to the community? Huh? It affects everybody. It would affect our whole community if something like that happened. So, knowing all that, why do we sin? Why do we disobey the Word of God? Knowing there's only bad consequence. Well, I thought about my life and just observation, and I think to myself, well, we get some status sometimes when we sin, do we not? Do you remember? Well, some of these are teenagers right here in front of us, but I remember being in high school. You know, kids are awesome when they're in elementary school. All my kids, you know, I'd come home and, oh, Daddy, give me a hug. That was important. You know, Linda and I were so important to our kids. And then they hit like junior high. Does anybody like junior hires? I love you guys. Junior hires doesn't make it. I'm just saying, there's this terrible twist that happens in their lives where, you know, they're not little kids anymore, and they're not adults, you know, at all. But you know, there's just, and there's going to be some strife, some struggle, like for identity. And then high school. And so now you have to decide what is under the ban. And so, to get status, sometimes they want to be like all the popular kids. They drink, and maybe they smoke, and maybe they do some dope, and maybe they're having sex, and nobody seems to be caught, and they're still getting good grades, and they're still, you know, captain of the football team or volleyball team or something. I mean, they're still getting all those things. Just like that pastor, right? He was in sin, and yet he's having great success in the church. Just because you seem to have success does not mean that your sin has gone unnoticed by God, or that the punishment is not coming. Okay? You might not experience it here, but you continue, you'll experience it forever in hell. All right? I want to make it clear. Under the ban. I don't want to pick on high school kids. I want to pick on parents. What do you say? Kids? Yeah? Should I give it to them? Hey, look at the adults. What are the adults doing to show the kids how to be, you know, walk the straight and narrow? I mean, business deals, shady business deals, people stealing, taxes, who wants to pay all the taxes that are owed,